possible. Looking forward to our 3 pitches tonight. Good luck to everybody.
Right. And now that we have a product, you need to start marketing it. So Nick, our CMO in residence, for those who still don't know, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Pedro. Yeah, hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Nick Eversett. I'm the CMO in residence, as you suggest. Yeah, my background is in marketing. I've been doing marketing for many, many years, both digital and offline over the years, and helping large and small businesses and startups to actually find their revenue strategies and help them execute them.
Awesome. And we have the responsible adult in the room, our CFO in residence, Rachel. Rachel, who is Rachel?
Oh, I keep denying being a responsible adult, Pedro. You have to remember that. So yeah, I'm the CFO in residence. I run an accountancy firm and a pensions firm. We very much focus on cross-border tax matters, with a focus on the US and the UK. So we do, as well as individuals who work with businesses who are looking at setting up in multiple locations, which is quite fun. Yeah, so I'm often referred to as the numbers lady. I like to think there's a bit more to me than that, but that does seem to what it all comes down to. But yeah, really love working.
You do maths at Oxford, you get called the numbers lady. I'm sorry, that's
true.
just how it
Never
works.
Goes away. Yeah.
We can change it. We can change it to the money lady.
Yes.
Maybe it's it.
Someone bounced me at the weekend when I told them I'd done a maths degree, so that was quite fun. So yeah, okay, so the numbers lady, and yeah, I really like working with businesses and just helping them through getting the real understanding of the numbers and looking at what's behind them so they can talk about them really coherently.
Right. I'm Pedro Guimarães, the CMO residence of Canopy, and it's my pleasure and honor to hand over the next stages of this conversation to Stuart. No, Stuart, for that guy that still doesn't know you. Who are you?
I have no idea, but it's wonderful to have you all here today. This is our October moment to see what people are working on and to give them a bit of a hand. There are 3 main reasons why startups fail, and this event exists to try and get rid of the number 1 factor. Who shall I check with? Nick, do you remember the number 1 reason why startups fail?
Yes, it's me trying to create something that nobody wants or pay for.
We literally build something that nobody gives a damn about, certainly not enough to give us money in any form of investment or as customers. And isn't that insane that I personally have had at least 2 failures as a result of building something that nobody wanted or needed? And it's actually a persistent failure, a root cause for apparently more than 40% of all the startup failures globally. So think how many hundreds of millions of dollars that is. So the panel here and any other comments that happen through DemoNight are all about breaking that bubble for us as founders as we traverse the line between genius of seeing the world in a different way and insanity of just not listening to know every time people tell us. So let's see what happens with this. Got 3 wonderful people here today. We're going to start with Barnaby, then go to Asma, and then to Jeremy. Each of you have 5 minutes to kind of put your demo out there. Then you'll get kind of 10 minutes or so of feedback and questions and stuff led by Pedro and the panel. And let's see where it all goes, okay? There's no such thing as a bad question and there's no such thing as a bad demo. This is all about going through these cycles of learning. So Barnaby, your time, my friend. How do you want to use it?
Let's go. Let me just share my screen quickly. Okay, how does that look? Oh,
that looks
can
great.
Everyone see match your candidates?
We certainly can.
Great. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Barnaby, CEO and co-founder here at Prodigy. Hope everyone's having a great day, wherever you're dialing in from, even if it's raining. So my asks up front first would be, we're in the process of opening up pre-seed rounds, so introductions to any amazing, passionate angels who really love to talk about and geek out about the future of work and recruitment. Second, customers. We serve recruiting agencies primarily, so anyone you know who runs or works for a recruiting agency, especially ones that specialize in tech, we'd love to give them a free demo and get some feedback from them on the use of the product, so that would be also fantastic. And third of all, also actually anyone who's hiring engineers and looking for agencies specifically to help them. We obviously talk to a lot of agencies, so we can help them out. So those are my asks up front, and let me just dive right in. So the problem we're solving is this. It takes 1 to 2 weeks on average for a recruiting agency to deliver the right candidates shortlisted to a client, to an employer. It's a complex manual process of manual research, and it's a lot of repetitive tasks. But simply, Prodigy is a tool to help those recruiting agencies deliver the right candidates to clients in minutes rather than days. And in the competitive world of recruiting, obviously speed and accuracy are exactly how you beat your competition. At the core of what we do is exceptional matchmaking. We have a really interesting and complex on the back end custom algorithm that leverages both decades of experience as well as NLP techniques and some large language model stuff. It's complicated on the back end, but on the front end, as you're going to see, it's super easy to use. And the agencies that we already work with seem to love using it. So this is my dashboard of the product. This is where I can see that I've imported this many jobs, 21,000, to generate this many matches on these candidates. Now, we get jobs from a variety of sources, and we customize the job feed based on each agency's specific ideal client profile, allowing them to specify any requirements such as black or white listing in different countries based on the markets that they're most interested in. The candidates that I add to the product all appear in one place where I can manage those candidates. I can also see the top scoring match for each candidate. And of course, I can add candidates with a process where currently it's resume upload up to batch amount of 10, and we pass all the information. In the future, of course, we're going to do direct integration to the software that most people in the industry use called applicant tracking systems. And so we're not quite there yet. So it's a manual process. And in the interest of time, I think I'll just skip through the next parts of the product. We also have a job section where agencies can upload their own jobs to then match those against the candidates that they have imported to do a quick sanity check. And I think the interesting thing here is, of course, the matches themselves and what they look like. So if I just pull up, for example, some ones that I've saved, and let's have a look. I guess I can take this one. This is a QA role. Just to give you an idea of what a match looks like. So every time we import a candidate, these matches are generated in the background. And so not only are we generating a match score, we're also generating a whole bunch of match intelligence. As you can see here, a summary of the match and why it's been made, a comparison stacked back to back of different features, as well as individuals.
1 minute.
As well as specific match strengths and weaknesses, which agencies love because it gives them talking points to sell the candidate to the client. And then we also have employer intelligence. So this is where we go into detail about who the employer is, who's hiring, and then key contact information for the decision makers, including the recruiting team, which is to allow the agents to then do the following step, which for the time being is they take the matches that they like, they can select them, then they can just export them to their inbox with all the key match details, and then load that into their CRM and use that as the start of their sales process. That's it for now. I don't think I need to go any further. But yeah, thank you very much for your attention. Really appreciate it. Back to my ask just very quickly. Angels interested in HR tech, customers, anyone in the running an agency would love to talk to you, especially if they're in Europe, and anyone who's hiring technical programmers right now, we'd love to talk to you. Thanks for your attention.
Well done, Barnaby. Jolly good show. All right, Pedro, lead off. Honor of the first question to you, Mr. Head Judge.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Barnaby, for the great presentation, the great demo you just made. If you be so kind to stop sharing the screen, it will allow to see the beautiful faces of my colleagues and guests. A question that can be split in two, which is what are the data sources you are using to generate these matches? And if you are, let's say, recycling the information generated that is being stored in your system to upgrade the knowledge about both companies' jobs and candidates.
Okay, do you mind if we just break that down to two questions separately? Sorry, just
how do you get the information? What is information are you using to generate the matches about the candidates? So it's just the curriculum vitae, is something else? That is the one question. And the second one is, if I stay in your platform as a candidate, or everything that happens with me stays within your system and is being used to increase the knowledge about me as a candidate or me as a company.
Okay, So for the time, so let me address that sequentially. So by the time, so in terms of bringing candidates into, sorry, in terms of the information that we use, right now the agencies are bringing the candidates into the product. So they are bringing in their resumes, but they also have other information. And so we have an interim step after they've imported the candidate where they can add additional fields. Eventually, once we integrate into the applicant tracking systems, we'll be able to bring in things like interview notes, as well as just much more information, social media profiles, things like that, different conversations that they've had. The plan in terms of how the matching work is to expand the data sources that we use on both sides, the candidate side and the agency side, and the job side. You can imagine having the company website with values, for example, that can be extracted. But for the time being, we effectively have an extended version of a resume and a job description that we're doing the matches on. But already the feedback's been very good just on that alone. To the second part of your question, the way we work, and I think you were touching a lot of different points there, like GDPR, privacy concerns. We're effectively extending what an agency already does in that they have permission to use their candidates' information when they signed up a candidate to do certain things. We don't share the information of the candidates with any third parties. The only people who can access the candidates' information once it's imported is the tenant itself or the agency itself. So there's a closed loop of information. The match details, we don't send them to the employer. We send them back to the agent at the agency for them to then add to their CRM and sales process. So in fact, it's a closed loop because the information just stays closed within the context of that user or within the context of that agency. So I hope that answers your question, but if I missed any part of it.
All right, fantastic. I guess we should hand over now to Tiana as the product person, see what you think, and then over to Rachel after that.
Great product demo, great indeed. As I mentioned, I've been working for many years setting up startups out of freelancers and experts on demand. And when I hear you mentioning 2 weeks that traditionally are needed for recruitment or something like that, this is definitely what we don't have if we work the way we work, as some people stay with us for 2 weeks. So definitely we're not going to spend 2 weeks recruiting them. So I think it would be nice to mention in your pitch the use case of expertise on demand, where this efficiency is really very valued. I think that would be really interesting as the future of work, I think, is going that way towards gig economy, freelancers, fractionals, experts on demand. That's just a comment. And I do have one question. Recently, I read a post from a recruitment agency or similar using an HR AI product or similar, where they had really positive feedback on the efficiency of the matching algorithm, that part, but also very negative feedback on the communications part, because the candidates were getting notifications, information, feedback, responses, etc., from the AI, like generic responses after each round, or maybe the final response as well. And this is what they kind of didn't like. They expected the human to call them and give them the good or bad news. So I was just wondering if you had any experience regarding that, or how you plan to approach that part.
So I think, yeah, it's a really good point about us communicating to people where this product adds the most value. We're definitely the opposite end of the market from freelancers, where we are as the senior to executive level, like very specialist roles that require a lot of high touch personal relationships, which we don't productize because that's the relationship between the agent and the candidate. So answering the second part of the point that you were making, because of that, we don't touch the client, we don't touch the candidate. So where we have the positive feedback on the matching, we don't want to touch candidates in the sense that that is for us very unscalable, but it's also, we're infringing on relationships that have been built over decades. So we're never going to get close to being able to provide the value that, a recruiting agent can provide. So yeah, I think hopefully, well, so far we haven't received any negative feedback, but that was the key realization for us early on, was to stay within our lane and be very careful about who we communicate with, and not turn into a spam bot. There's a lot of tools out there that are just spamming out things, whether it's applications, whether it's AI results, whether it's resumes, whether it's and there's a lot of people who are doing that, and we were just very clear about not doing that and keeping that system closed.
Sounds really good. Thanks.
I think you get a prize for saying stay in your lane, Barnaby. I like that. It's a nice phrase. Rachel, what's your brain doing with this one? And then I'm going to come to Asma for a question.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm quite interested in the size of the market. So is this something that's kind of more needed in particular locations, or is it a global application? How do you see it moving forward?
Yeah, so there are a lot of questions in there. So the staffing recruiting space is about $650 billion annually, of which you can't get necessarily hard numbers, but estimates range from like 40 to 45% of that market is captured by agencies. And then you have to break it down by different verticals and different specialities. But it's a sizable market. The typical agency kind of generates anywhere from 15 to 25% of commissions. And there's some really interesting demographics that point to why the requirement and need of agencies is going to grow over time. If you think about one-click applications and the move of job boards to maximizing volume of applicants, everyone's incentivized now to just spam the system. So there's just some really interesting trend lines that point towards a greater need. Going to kind of how we're planning on tackling it, we have specific domain expertise in engineering. Obviously, it's a very nice domain to do matching with because it's rich in hard skills. The other thing that's relevant here is my co-founder and CTO has sold 2 businesses in the staffing and recruiting space specifically for staffing engineers. So we think we can add a lot of value for solving the problem in that very niche vertical or sub-vertical. And once we've got it working really well, then we can expand to a broader selection, let's say, of sub-verticals within tech, and then beyond there, we can grow out. In terms of geographic markets, yeah, I don't know that I have an answer yet about what the right strategy is and how to go, how to approach it from a geographic perspective. But we've been getting interest and we're getting use right now from agencies from India to the US, Europe, and Africa. So we've been fairly agnostic in that sense so far. It's more about the size of the company. So we're targeting SMBs because they have fewer automation processes, less capabilities to generate and automate and product and kind of productize their sales process.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was, for example, something which really worked with the agency model in Western Europe, but not necessarily in other places. But it sounds as though it translates really well across.
Yeah, we haven't had any. I wouldn't say we've had any kind of regional kickback. The only one market, interestingly, which seems to be a bit odd, is Germany. Because Germany has such strict GDPR compliance, seems to be stricter than everywhere else in the world. We just get a little bit more hesitation up front. I would say that's the only place where I've noticed people kind of pushing more friction up front, but we still work with German agencies. And so one of our first agencies was a German one. So I guess it is doable.
Cool. Yeah, that's good to know.
Okay, well, before we call time on this one, I just want to pop over to Asma and see what she thinks about this at the moment. What's your feedback to Barnaby, Asma?
First of all, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's a brilliant idea. Definitely, we need some things work like that. And the whole beauty of AI and generative AI is kind of make it simple for the businesses. Before that, we needed to do it manually and use people, how they are feeling about a resume or something like that, just replace it with some sort of a data. But I love to actually know more about data points you are using. So how you are getting a candidate to your platforms, and then what data point are you using? Are you just talking about the CV, analyzing that, or also you are collecting information from other places around them as well?
Yeah, so for the time being, we have probably around 20 data points that we extract or infer from the resume and the job description. So when I say infer, there's a delta between what someone says they want and what they actually need, and there's a delta between what someone says they can do and what they actually can do. And so you can run an inference on filling in that delta on both sides and create some kind of a meta document either side. We use an embedding process that does kind of nearest neighbor matching. And then we also employ hard filtering. So we kind of do this hybrid approach of deterministic and probabilistic matching. Going forwards, what we want to do is start expanding the data set both sides. So we start to incorporate things like social media links, all the notes and all the documentation that agencies have of their candidates, which is quite rich. And then on the job side, you can bring in just a lot of information from whether it's documentation that the company publishes, their ESG policy, their values on their website, things like that. And so you end up with a kind of just multiple documents on either side. The problem here is less about how much information you could get access to. It's more about feature extraction and trying to be parsimonious and not what's the word? Not overfitting the data.
So I'm going to do one of those kind of dealer choice moments where I ask you a question even though we've totally run out of time, all right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
When I'm hiring, what I'm really interested in is whether or not this person's going to stay. So I find the right fit. I can probably find the right fit in 20 different people, right? But good cultural fit, it's great. But what I'm really trying to judge all the time is, do I get 2 or 3 years out of this person, or is this going to be a shorter term gig? Because that's about then the onboarding costs, any recruitment fees, any training costs, and just integration costs that if it all goes wrong, I've got to do it again. So I'm just wondering if there's anything in what you're thinking about as a product that's really helping to predict almost like the longevity of a candidate in a role rather than just do they fit on a skills basis.
Yeah. So I think that's the golden question, right? There's some mediating factors here. One is that in tech, and especially with engineers, the median lifespan at a company is less than 3 years. I think it's like 2.5 years, and it's going down. So that kind of mitigates that risk. I think probably not the mission-driven answer, but the kind of practical answer is agencies aren't in the business of making sure that their placements that they make stay for 3 years. And we're not serving employers, we're serving agencies. Agencies are in the business of being efficient and making multiple placements with their recruiters spending as much time building relationships, being on the phone and not doing market research. So in terms of who we're targeting and how we sell, that's not a concern that obviously comes up. But the end buyer, being the employer, if we were selling directly to them, then yes, that would be absolutely a concern. But I don't think I have an answer to that. I think that's the holy grail. And I personally actually don't think you can do it without humans. There is something that you just need a human in the room to evaluate. And that's why I believe that recruiting agencies as a business generally will grow, because we can't get rid of that. And at the end of the day, these are big life choices. Sometimes these are the biggest life choices we make after buying a home, or who we marry is which job we take. And people are loyal to the people who help them find those jobs. And so there's a very human element of this market. What's the way we're going about it, I think, very differently, is instead of disintermediating the industry, which everyone seems to be trying to do, we're building a tool to help the industry be more effective.
Okay, it's interesting because I think in one way, if you headed into that space, you end up in a more value-based pricing kind of model, as opposed to if you go the other way, you end up in more of a commoditized. But I'm not the marketeer, and I'm sure Nick could give you some feedback on that kind of stuff afterwards. But I asked the question as an employer, but also as a non-exec of a recruitment company and somebody that sees a lot of these things going around and around in circles a lot of the time. So, all right. So
let's sign them up. Let's sign your agency up.
Always be selling. I've noticed that about you, Barnaby.
I got a great package for you guys.
Asma, it's over to you, my friend. 5 minutes to do as you wish, show and tell. Let's see where this goes. And Nick, I'm going to turn to you for the honor of the first question on this one, if that's okay, Pedro.
Okay. So thank you so much. Firstly, I want to say I am not demoing as we are just opening the round. I want to go through my pitch deck. I love to have your comments on that. It's a very important moment for us. What you can help me is also, it's about actually feedback about how do I pitch, and of course, I'm Iranian, so my network is not the strongest things I have here. So if you can introduce me any VCs or family firm or angels they are interested in terms of SaaS platforms or e-commerces or AI, it will be amazing for us. So let's get to it. Sorry, I can't. Okay. Hello everyone, good evening. Good evening. It's Asma, CEO and founder of Vang. I'm an Iranian human rights activist and tech entrepreneur. 4 years ago, I built a marketplace where I quickly learned how difficult it is to find the right product and reliable suppliers. Wars and wars were spent on market research to find profitable ones and in demands one. But still nothing was guaranteed. And guess what? I got let down. Bad products, poor qualities, bad delivery, and like a failed delivery. I lost both time and money. That led me to a shocking statistic from Shopify. Online shop owners spend at least 30 hours per week to search to find the best products they can sell and also finding the reliable suppliers they can work with it. And it's not just me, 6 million online shops face the same struggle. It's totally look like finding a needle in a haystack. CommerceNext suggests improving the product sourcing process. You can increase your revenue by staggering 300%. That's a problem we aim to solve. Meet Vang. This is not just another platform or an improvement. It's a revolution in product sourcing process. Imagine an AI so advanced, it feels like it knows your shop personally, predict which product will sell best, and the outcome will be 20 hours saved every single week for online shop owners. Here's how it works. We collect sustainable top-tier products from brands you can trust. Our AI then filters out this collection to highlight only the best, the profitable, and the in-demand one. You can either manually search and filter by an unvetted list of products, or let our AI do the matching based on your specific market and audience. And the cherry on top, Vang automates the entire sourcing process. With one click, products are imported and orders automatically sent to suppliers. We also provide real-time order tracking and automatic inventory update. No more manual order handling or inventory management. Vang handle it seamlessly behind the scene. We launched it almost 7 months ago. So far, more than 35,000 eco-friendly and vegan products are listed on Vang, and over 800 online shops are using our services. Through our subscription plans and freemium, Vang is delivering real value. With a 12% conversion rate and 18-12 lifetime value of our customers, so far we've proven our model works. Now here is where it gets really interesting. With over 2 billion online shops expected by 2025 and 25 million dropshippers today, even without growth, our existing customer value alone represents over $500 billion in opportunity.
You got 1 more minute, Asma.
Do we have competitor? Of course. Are they doing the same? No. While they operate in traditional way and growing their product catalog, they are unintentionally increasing the complexity and inefficiency. But Vang is doing things differently, simplifying, curating, and streamlining, while others just growing complexity. We are a team of 6. I have over 15 years of experience in e-commerce industry, work as a chief experience officer of the biggest marketplace in Middle East with over 60 million users. Alongside me, Shahin is our CTO. He worked previously for Instagram, and he has more than 15 years experience on software development. And finally, El, with 8 years experience on product management. We have the expertise to make Vang the leader of this industry. We are asking for $1 million to invest on our AI and growing our user base. Thank you. And yeah, thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thanks, Asma. Just a little bit over time there. You feel the Britishness of Nick coming through there on that timekeeping. It's very interesting. Like,
I was
like the drawbridge
like
comes down. The drawbridge. So, Nick, what's your first question here for Asma?
No, I thought it was very, very amazing. Thanks for the pitch. I enjoyed the pitch. I thought it was very clear. I think it's quite an exciting business. The thing that occurred to me, and I just want to, and I'm sure you've addressed it, is obviously you've got this product. It looks like you've got something that's moving ahead of the competition. How are you going to stop the competition just copying your idea and just kind of going with it?
That's actually a very good question, because most of the competitors, I can say actually all of the competitors we have, it's like a Oberlo, CJ Dropshipping, Spocket, Senki. They are all very traditional dropshipping platforms. So dropshipping platforms by itself are like as old as marketplace and other e-commerces. So the concept on those businesses was increasing the product catalog. So they are fully focused on just getting the suppliers in, and and we did it first. So we know it's a very time-consuming things to do. What we are doing is we are literally building on top of them. So instead of going and I don't know, competing with CJ Dropshipping, we are using the data on the CJ Dropshipping. We are getting the product from them, but we are doing a curation on those products. And then with that one, online shop don't need to go to a list of 10,000 products and filter it by themselves and then guess if it's the product fit for their shop. We do all those kind of stuff by AI and data.
Can I just ask another quick question? Because I'm just curious, because I work with e-commerce companies and also e-commerce sort of analytics companies. And one of them is actually looking at pricing and making sure that pricing is kind of the best pricing, because that's part of the procurement process. Are you doing a lot for that as well?
Can you explain a bit more what you mean exactly?
I think what I'm getting at is part of the process of procuring new products. Obviously, there's time, is actually trying to get ahead of the competition by getting it something a bit cheaper than everybody else can, so you can actually steal a march in your own pricing. And I'm just wondering if you can.
We are providing our services for the drop shippers. So the basic idea of that one is just finding the product that are profitable. So it means they have the highest margin for them. So we are looking for the supplier that are reliable, but also the profit margin is high. So if you have two different products, one is both can be same price, but the supplier can present a different profit margin. So we will go with the product with a higher profit margin. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And Barnaby got a prize for saying stay in your lane. Now you've got steal a march, which I think is excellent to bring the Britishness in. Thank you very much. All right, we'll go to Pedro Guimaraes for this one, and then we'll come over to Barnaby for some feedback. So Pedro, what do you think?
Asma.
Thank you.
Yes, I really enjoyed it. I agree with Nick. It was a very interesting presentation. I understand why you started by vegan or by eco-friendly, products. Is it because you want to find a niche that can establish yourself in being profitable and then grow from there? Or is there any special reason we should know about it? In other words, are you going to move forward to other markets, to other sorts of products, or are you going to stay focused on that?
This is actually a question I really look forward to answer to that, because the more the products we are building can go across of the different business models, from dropshipping to normal e-commerces, and even for the brand, because it's all about the AI engine and machine learning that can predict the next one. Yeah. The reason we start with the eco-friendly product and vegan product is kind of getting back to the mission we started vegan in the first place, because we had a mission of increasing access for everyone to eco-friendly and vegan products. So we started with that niche. That niche by itself has a huge potential. It's a very growing niche, and every day it's just that we are seeing people are changing their behavior. So we start with that one. However, if after a while we say, okay, we can go to another part without ruin the climate and ruin the world, definitely we go for it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pedro. Thanks, Asma. Barnaby, what does your brain do with this one? What feedback do you want to give to Asma?
That was a good pitch, really good. I was just thinking, so on the pitch side, this is just my personal thing, and I don't know, maybe people listen to me and they're like, God, that guy's annoying. He's kind of loud and in my face. But everyone has a different style, so it's not really. Don't take this at all as a criticism, because it may be that a lot of people prefer the way you do it. I tend to get quite animated, or I feel like I do, and I don't know. There's maybe some elements of that which I felt were missing from your pitch when I was listening in.
I thought Asma was a bit flat in the way she presented it, or it just didn't carry a vim. Is that what you're saying?
A bit more like intonation kind of variance.
Okay.
Totally agree with you. I'm totally agree with you.
But like I said, everyone's different, so I don't want to throw you off if other people think that you pitched perfectly.
Definitely right. You are definitely right. The thing is, I'm not native. And I'm
it's
actually
tough.
very nervous of speaking English because I feel like, okay, if people probably can forget my accent, but definitely grammar issue is not something you can do it. So I'm trying to stick to what I memorize.
Yeah,
And
I
because
get
of
it.
that, I will lose it. But anyway, it's exact things I am trying to get better on it.
No, it's really hard if it's not your first language, and I think you did a really good job. And I think actually maybe it can actually mask bad grammar and bad words, because if your excitement comes through, people just don't really care about the words so much, I think, and they just get kind of grabbed by your excitement.
I agree.
Potentially.
Thank you so much for saying that.
I hope that was helpful.
It always
That's really
is.
good, Barnaby. It's really good.
Stuart, let me just say a couple of sentences. One is you started like you were reading. It sounded like you were reading, but then you got loose and it worked. I think it was a lot better. And one of the great things I find that doing these demo nights is now you have a video that you can see, and you can see yourself doing this demoing, and you can learn from it, and not just the feedback you're getting here, but you can see it over and over again, and perfect the things that you think needs improvement. Thank you.
Yeah, so sure, totally.
And just before I pop over to Tiana for her views on stuff, Asma, I teach this stuff at university, right? I do a master's in entrepreneurship, and giving a pitch and giving a presentation is part of that, right? So one of the key things we teach in that is to remember to always be authentically who you are, and to get as much of that authentic personality across as possible. So kind of feeding on what Barnaby's saying, maybe it's shielding a little bit who you are. And the reason that's so important is because investors, if they invest in your company, they're going to spend, with a success story, 7 to 10 years with you. And in this first moment, what they're really trying to ascertain is if they like you. And it seems really odd, right? But an investment decision about, do I like you? Why is that important? It's because if they don't like you, 7 to 10 years is a really long time to spend any amount of time with somebody you don't like. Okay, so part of the chemistry of that deal is actually them working out if they're going to sit in a boardroom with you and enjoy your company in some way for the next 7 to 10 years. And they'll say, oh no, it's about the logic and the reason and the metrics, and it's not. It's all bullshit. 70% of that decision is, did I like you enough to want to invest in your company? Did I want to do that? So the more you can do to get you out there, whatever you is, however you react to stuff, they need to see that so they can then say, okay, in a board or in the next mentoring, or is she coachable, and all this kind of stuff, they're going to be working out from that. Okay. So I'll pop over to Tiana because she's seen probably about 6 billion pitches as well. So what's your thoughts on this, Tiana?
I actually agree with you about being who you are. And I think that the fact that it's not your native language, it can actually be an advantage. You're not from there, so you have insights in some other markets that the rest of the people don't have. So it can be your advantage as well. And on the other hand, it's content that is important and not so much the accent, etc. I mean, my accent for sure is a foreign one, and I speak as fast as I can when I have something important to say that I find to be important, right? And another thing is that your business is about passion. You're an activist. You're trying to change the world. So the passion is not lacking. The enthusiasm is not lacking. So we need to hear that. And altogether, the content of the pitch, I think, was really good. And as a vegan, I love the idea. And I think this is what we need. We need to help this transition to more sustainable life. And what drew my attention, that's the only comment I want to add right now, is the same thing as with Nick, the competition slide. It was even like kind of too good to be true. None of the competitors were not even close. Usually in these comparisons, we see like, okay, they have these features as we do, but then we have this one that is in addition to what they have. But here is like, they don't come even close. As much as you all would like to believe that, it sounds a little bit maybe unrealistic. So maybe either you explain it in a bit different way to be more clear to everybody, or maybe you even research why is this so. Have they tried similar things and failed? Maybe you would like to know this sooner than later. Is the fact that you're building on top of them some kind of risk? Can they maybe, as maybe Nick mentioned, decide that since they already have the initial product, just add a layer on the top and then they would already be in a leading position? Or maybe they can in some way obstruct you from getting the information that you need to build on top. I'm not sure if that would be impossible, or like, but really that slide sounds too good to be true. So I think something needs to be researched there a little bit more. And
that's actually that slide was really challenging for me to explain how is it working, because I think actually while my thinking is in general, the AI engine is working based on the amount of data you can collect. So most of these businesses just created to just do the connection. And we build the business to collect the data. So we, for example, whoever all the online shops already coming to our platforms, we are getting the agreement and we start collecting the data, what product they are selling, what product they are listing. So we start just by just getting the data. So even if they want to do it, it's not like a one night thing. So even if they add the AI on top of their platforms, then they have to start training the engine. How is it working? So in that case, we just kind of started before than others. And the reason we are right now having at that advantage is just because generative AI is really new. Before that, if you want to do a sentiment analysis on comments, it will be a huge data model of a machine learning and predictions. But nowadays, it's really easy with the generative AI. It is still really new. So we have we're literally very in a good place, good timing, and we just use that things. It was the opportunity we just catch.
Yeah, sounds great. Just something to pay attention to, and also maybe to explain a little bit more in a bit more details on that slide.
Of course, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, Tiana. I think we'll turn to Rachel for the final comment, and then we'll open out to Jeremy for his 5 minutes. So, Rachel, what does your brain do with this one?
I'm going off in all sorts of different directions, I must admit. I do think, focusing on getting the passion coming across, because you caught my attention very much when you said I'm an activist, and then you moved on from that straight away. And it would be really nice to see a link to the kind of things that you're particularly passionate about, and just that. I know you didn't have very long to speak, to be fair. On some pitches you might have a bit longer, but how did that journey actually work for you in terms of why is this something that sort of meets some of your passion? It's probably worth us having a side conversation as well, because I do have someone in mind who I think would really like your business, who I can put you in touch with. Okay. And there's also an organization that could support you as well, who are very, very geared towards I think we can call your business female-led, can't we? There were sorry guys, there were a number of males on your slide presentation, but I think we can still call it female-led. But it's an organization that works with female-led businesses that are looking at very much at addressing issues of sustainability and so on. So you would fit very much in that niche as well. So if you I think Stu did send round connections, but if you and I connect afterwards, and then we can follow up properly.
Surat, can I ask a very short question about these things? Because before that, I would have started my by saying, okay, I'm an Iranian human rights activist, and start my first business because another version of a vegan in exile in Portugal, because I'm literally in exile. Then I was pitching to lots of people, and they were like, okay, maybe it is important to talking about that part, but maybe it is too much. And also, I mean, I'm against the Iranian regime, of course, because I am out. But now with all the stuff happening in Israel, it can just provide some sort of a tension. And Iranian, some sort of we are doomed to just getting answer to Iranian government. So I'm not sure how much should I mention, how much should I talk about it.
You're absolutely right. There needs to be a balance. I think where I was coming from more, I'm an activist. When I feel passionately about something, I go and do something about it. One of the things I feel strongly about is, the carbon footprint of what people eat, for example. This business is going to. So I'm thinking more of that kind of time rather than lots of detail about the activism itself.
Sure.
So does that make sense?
Very.
I'm sure some people want more of the detail, but as you say, things, people have personal views on things, so you have to be careful, particularly in a group pitch situation.
Thank you. Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Cheers.
And I offer this because I think it's helpful for everybody, right? So you're never going to make every investor happy, partly because they're ego-driven animals and they've got their own opinions, and not all their opinions will be the same, right? And to a certain extent, again, going back to some of the stuff we teach, you need to reverse fit this to what kind of investor do you want? So you could say, hey, I just want an investor with money. Well, there's loads of those, right? What you really want, if you're getting a genuine investor, is somebody who's going to co-create with you and who's going to really build this in a similar way. So there's aspects of who you are that you want to really emphasize, because that aligns well with who that investor is. Maybe you want an activist investor. Maybe you want a vegan investor. Maybe you want an investor who's also in exile from Iran. Whatever those aspects are, emphasize them, because that will then lure them in and latch them in a way of they get the best empathy. But if in the absence of really knowing clearly where you want to go to, just be very definitely who you are, because the more you fake it or obfuscate it, the more you get an investor who doesn't really know you at all. And then the relationship starts after the money's in the bank, which is kind of weird, right? But yeah, pick the profile of who you want and then work back to how you present. And just do it for them, do it perfect fit for them. Everybody else might be left or right, may like it or hate it. Doesn't matter. You just need the perfect investment match. That's my view anyway. All right, Jeremy, your 5 minutes of fun. Let's see where you want to take this, okay? And then first question for this one will be Tiana, and last question on this one, of course, will be Pedro.
Cool. All right. So to start with my ask, so this is going to be rougher and more hairy than Asma and Barnaby, because we're very much in development phase and we're about to go out and just test product market fit. So literally, like the threshold feedback I'm looking for is, as you say, Stuart, is this something people want or need? And if you answer that threshold question with yes, then what I would really, really love from you is introductions to people in the space, so I can go out and make sure that I do have product market fit. But I'm building Privy. What is Privy? Well, it's a machine learning method of handling huge amounts of data, but the core insight that we're trying to propagate is this many labs, one data set theory, and we want to use this theory to make doing good much more efficient and impactful. So to bring it to life, there are, at least in the US, 1.488 million charitable organizations. They are all good at some things and they are all bad at other things in different degrees and different variations. So here are some of the problems that they encounter, but because they have a different set of data, a different set of purpose, a different set of challenges, a different set of abilities, they're all actually laboratories. And so what Privy is planning to do is to bring all of that data together, assign it to a common taxonomy, vector it to data sets such as consumer behavior, demographic behavior, potentially tax behavior, run that through a machine learning algorithm, and then provide value back to our customers to give them up-to-the-minute insights, accurate resource allocation maps and best practice playbooks, so they can get out there and make sure that they're raising money effectively and spending money effectively. So to bring the value proposition to life a little bit, in exchange for your data, access to your data, and some kind of fee structure, TBC, what you get back is unique real-time data insights from a data set that aggregates thousands of charities doing things that are like you and things that are not like you. So it'll be data from a Wyoming cat shelter matched to a Australian cancer charity, matched to a Scottish football association, matched to, and so on and so on and so on. Thousands of laboratories, thousands of data sets brought together to make sure that for your Wyoming cat sanctuary, you know that actually the best thing that you can do is to go out with 5 volunteers to the farmers markets that are in spring and shake buckets, but then you should allocate the rest of your resources to a direct mail campaign to this particular demographic, and that will be down to the playbook level, because the idea is we want to have vast pools of data. Once you have that vast pool of data, you can also bring some really cutting edge finance techniques, or even just bog standard finance techniques to charitable organizations that were never open to them before. So if we think of modern portfolio theory, where someone building a portfolio of bonds will have A, B, C to junk bonds, and they'll have them in different proportions based on their risk tolerance and what reward they want, we can also advise these charitable organizations that, hey, these kind of activities are higher yield but carry a higher risk. So this is the perfect blend for you to achieve the revenue you want with the predictability you want. And then finally, of course, you can't have a AI product these days without a LLM tagged onto it. And so Privy will allow you to both talk to your data and talk to the larger data set. And that ease of use drives greater adoption. Greater adoption drives more data for Privy to process, drives better results back to you as the customer. Where does it go to next? So again, the core insight, the core thing that we're building, the key piece of technology is the many labs, one data set theory. So we're solving scale with scale, right? So there are lots of small businesses out there that may want to cooperate in this way.
5 minutes, Jeremy.
Okay, great. And then the final example is there's also large service businesses out there. So for example, KPMG in Stockholm will be doing something that KPMG in Sydney is interested in, and KPMG London will want to know the results of those experiments as well. So this can also work within large multinational corporations as well. Thank you so much. Again, the ask is connections, and threshold question, does this need to exist?
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. So Tiana, over to you for the first one. Does it need to exist, and what questions do you have for Jeremy?
Well, this is a question difficult to say while watching a pitch like this, Jeremy. I think the pitch needs some more specific details, because nowadays we have so many data analytics tools, and the value proposition is actually exactly like you were saying. It's pretty generic. You're going to get a set of data that's going to influence your decision making, and your decision making is going to influence your. And we keep hearing this all the time. It's very general, right? So I think we need something more specific, some examples, like what kind of data, what kind of decisions, what kind of situations. Storytelling might be maybe a good solution for your pitch, where you mention a certain organization, their challenges, their attempts to solve, why these attempts were failing, how your solution can go about this. I think we need some more specifics, because otherwise this exact question that you are asking is the question we are having in our mind as well. So yeah, that would be my comment on this pitch.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate the feedback. Yeah, to potentially bring it to life, the core value proposition is currently there's, as you say, 100 data analytics firms out there that will consult with you on your data set, and they may vector that to some proprietary data sets that they have. The thing that we're doing different is we're saying join a community of hopefully thousands of organizations. So no matter what you're looking to do, it has some data there to say that this is the best way to do it. So instead of a one-to-one relationship, we're talking a one-to-many. So you get richer insights. But I appreciate that probably needs a narrative to bring that to life. So it's a really valuable comment.
I would say so. Sure.
Thanks, Tiana. Pedro, what question do you want to have for Jeremy on this? And do you think it needs to exist in the world?
Maybe. I agree with Tiana. You need to have a clearer use case, because you are talking about data pooling. This reminds me of the old days of database, and the people tend to pull databases. And the thing is, unless I see a real value in that, why should I be sharing my information?
Yeah.
And maybe if you could find, since you are trying to focus, for example, on charity, as you said, maybe, for example, if you could find like an angle, like how to best invest in a specific area, let's say elderly care, or how to, build a budget for next year based on, existing, whatever, I don't know. Because other than that, you're just saying, okay, I have a great machine that can, use a lot of data and generate a lot of results, and congratulations. Okay. And another thing I would like to address is, if you don't have context data, it's hard to understand the needs and the results. And I understood the example you gave with the Scottish entity and the Australian one. But for example, if I'm taking care, if just focus, let's say, on primary care on elderly people, it's not the same being on a small town in Portugal and sharing and comparing this information to an equivalent entity in, say, London or say Nairobi. Okay, and so unless you have and the ability to manage and retrieve and manage that data can generate a negative impact on the results, or on the usability of results. I think you addressed something there that could be quite interesting, which is generating eventually. You talked about bonds, for example. Maybe this could be another way of creating a method for investors in this area. People that want to put money supporting causes, and, for example, how to screen different opportunities, and, for example, select areas or specific entities to send the money to. And you could do this like a huge crowdsourcing platform that was being fed by these things like that. And sometimes examples can be terrible, but I think maybe in that specific area you could have an opportunity, because the value of your huge data set could support the sense of not protection, but of risk management of the money that I'm putting, because you are assessing the credibility, you're assessing the results, you're assessing how they do perform against equivalent entities, even if one is a dog shelter and the other one is whatever it is. Maybe in that specific area you can find opportunities. Definitely, I see value in pooling data and extracting knowledge. The way it's less about technology and algorithms and more about use cases. That would be my comment and my feedback on you. But I would love to hear more about this. Hope you don't quit.
Thanks, Pedro. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Pedro. All right, so just to round up today, it's been brilliant. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Asma, and thank you, Barnaby. I'd like to ask each of you just to give us a little bit of feedback if there's anything particular you're taking away from the time that we spent together today. So Asma first, then Barnaby, then Jeremy. What's the win for you been today? Have you taken anything away?
Well, of course. First of all, I got amazing feedbacks on my pitch. That would be like definitely the thing I really needed, and I wasn't in that much of a pitch session, so hearing the pitch, at least the text of it, was interesting. It gave me a lot of confidence as I have that demo day things. The second thing, I already have a network, so I'm supposed to talk with Rachel after this. Amazing. So this was amazing. This was amazing. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, thanks, Asma. Barnaby, what about you? Any takeaways from today?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank you so much, everyone. I mean, it's always, you can never practice pitching enough as a founder. If we weren't supposed, it's like we should be spending our whole time speaking to our customers, of course, but in between, when we're fundraising, we need to be pitching as much as possible. So it's really nice to have that opportunity. And yeah, great questions all around. I think they were all pretty much on point. And it's also always helpful to see what other people are doing in a completely different domain, because then it triggers some idea that's completely, adjacent in your own pitch about, oh, that's a great idea for how I can present this this concept, using the way that they've done it on this slide. So it's always really nice to see other founders' pitches. And we don't often get to see them. So yeah,
Thanks, Barnaby.
Thank you.
What about you, Jeremy? Any takeaways from today?
Yeah, absolutely. The need to focus in on the narrative is really valuable, and frankly, that's also going to help me go out and do the sales pitch to people to actually get some of that data pool built. So that's really useful feedback. So thanks all. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your investment of an hour in this today, and I hope you get more out of it as more people view this and as you get connected up with people like Rachel and stuff afterwards. This was our last remote demo night before the beauty that is Web Summit Week and being together in Lisbon, so looking forward to that. We have a couple of investors doing reverse pitches on that night in Lisbon, as well as a number of different startups from different programs and things we've been involved with over the year coming along. It's in person, it's in Idea Spaces. We're doing really well on tickets, but there's still a couple places if you want to come along and just be quick, because I think by the end of the week we'll be totally maxed out. So it'd be great to have you there. And that's Wednesday the 15th of November for anybody that wants to be there, 7 till 9. Nick, Tiana, Rachel, Pedro, as always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you all in person in just 4 weeks' time.